we'd like to give a warm welcome to our very first Red Talk speaker, Jennefer Witter, CEO and founder of national PR agency, the Borland Group, and published author of The Little Book of PR.
A rose, by any other name, would smell just as sweet. Shakespeare sure knew what he was talking about. A rose, yes, its fragrance is exquisite. I think we all would agree upon that. But what about something as nebulous as success? How would each of us define it? Is there a common denominator? Does your definition match the dictionary definition? Webster defines success as, quote, an attainment of wealth, favor, or eminence. But the Oxford Dictionary calls success the achievement of a goal. In preparing for this talk, I posted on my social media platforms asking my followers how they would define success. The replies were as eye-opening as they were varied. There were responses around emotions. One person said contentment, another being happy. Some were short and snappy. One person said unconditional peace and joy, regardless of what's going on around you. Another, success is doing better every single day. Others were rich in detail, especially this one. Meaningful work, healthy relationships with family members, close friendships, enough money to live comfortably and help others less fortunate, respected for integrity. All of this is to say that each of us defines success in our own way. For my mother and father, both immigrants, their definition of success was the American dream, owning a home and having a stable job. But the ultimate success for them, more than home ownership, more than a job, was to have their children college educated. For them, it meant we would have more opportunities, more doors would open, and our lives, they hoped, would be easier than theirs. To be truthful, I never thought about how I defined success. I just didn't. What I did do was work. I am an admitted workaholic. But in many instances in my professional life, I was coming up short. And this was a pattern. Let me explain. When I got my first job in PR, I worked on an account that the company was struggling to keep. It was a trade show. I worked my butt off. At one point, I worked every day for 7 weeks straight, 10 to 12 hours a day, just before the trade show's opening day. It was worth it to me because I was invested in keeping this account. And the work paid off. Attendance was solid, media coverage was great, and most of all, the client was happy. Yay! And at the end of the year, the agency honored me with their Rookie of the Year award. Fabulous! And when I had my job performance review, I anticipated a promotion. I won Rookie of the Year award, helped to keep the account. I didn't get that promotion. My then boss said that I needed to work on a few things, which was never expressed at any time prior to that. I knew I wasn't a good proofreader. I'm still not a good proofreader. But my writing, my account management skills, my interactions with the client and the media, working under intense pressure, meeting deadlines, relationships with my peers, they were all fine. No one said anything otherwise. As far as I knew, Everything was going like gangbusters. I did get an award for being the best of all first-year executives. I didn't get a promotion for years. Meanwhile, I saw many of my colleagues, including those who joined at the same time I did, get promotions, climb the ladder, get additional responsibilities, while I stayed at the same level. Then I went to another agency. There I started a new sub-practice. It brought in $1 million worth of new business in the first year. And yet, when I went in for my performance review, I didn't get a promotion. I saw others getting promotions. They were talented, very nice people. I liked them, they liked me, I respected them, they respected me. But none of them developed new practice areas. None of them generated $1 million in new business. My reviews were always positive, but the promotion remained elusive for years. Finally, I went to my boss and told her if I didn't get a promotion, I would have to leave. And voila, I got the promotion. But it was only after I threatened to resign. A client of mine once asked me if I ever experienced racism in my career. I immediately said no, and I stand by that. But I started thinking maybe something else was at play that wasn't racism. I started learning and speaking about implicit bias about 7 years ago when I gave a keynote address. Let me explain to you what implicit bias is. Implicit bias is a bias of which you are unaware. It influences how you act, think, and behave toward others. Everyone is biased. You are biased, I am biased. Bias starts at a very young age, around 4 or 5 years old, and childhood bias is generally centered around race and gender. As you get older, it broadens out to include things such as weight, sexuality, accent, education, disability. You get your implicit bias via your family, your culture, religion, where you grow up. You absorb your bias without knowing that you are doing so. Racism is an attitude, opinion, or judgment of a group of people. It is accompanied by fear, hatred, and ignorance. There are 2 key differences between racism and implicit bias. The first, racist knows they are racist. Ask a Proud Boy or a Ku Klux Klan member, and that person will brazenly acknowledge their racism. It is their master status. A person who has an implicit bias, as I have said, doesn't know that they're biased. And for the most part, when their biases are revealed, they are ashamed. They are not proud of it. They want to change. The second key differentiator, racism, is easier to identify. It is blatant, bias is not. Bias is insidious. It's sneaky. Let me give you some examples. Multiple studies show that teachers grade Black students lower than white students. Heavier women get paid less than women who are slender. And men who are short usually don't make it to the CEO level. Everything that I share here with you is fact and evidence-based. HR departments will give preference to those with white-sounding names over those who have Black, Latino, or Asian-sounding names, and thus, those with white-sounding names will most likely be called in for job interviews. So if you're a Latoya, or a Ming, or a Catalina, your resume will most likely be overlooked in favor of Victoria, a Lynn, or a Christian. And the HR person, in the majority of these instances, doesn't do this on purpose. Bias unconsciously influences our behaviors and actions, as I've said, often to the detriment of others, and especially those within marginalized groups. I feel my career has been impacted by bias. But more importantly, I don't want others to have their careers stalled, or worse, leave their industries because of unequal behaviors that are unknowingly rooted in bias. For me, the impetus of continuing the conversation, whether it's popular or unpopular, is how minds can be opened. Because my goal is to be a cog in the wheel to achieve true and genuine equity. And that will allow more of us, especially those from marginalized communities, to enjoy the same opportunities as everyone else, to thrive and advance on the same level footing. Success, yes, can smell sweet, just like a rose. When someone comes up to me and says they had an aha moment because of my talk on bias, my heart sings. When fellow public relations professionals listen to me when I speak about inequity in PR and want to work with me to create a more diverse community and act upon it, wow, my heart soars. For me, I don't see success as Webster's dictionary defines it: attainment of wealth, favor, or eminence. For me, the Oxford Dictionary definition of success as the achievement of a goal resonates. And nowadays, achieving the goal of more aha moments, more true and authentic action, more understanding, more education, more opportunities for everyone equally is a definition of success that I choose to live by. Thank you.